title of the talk was Canada in the Next Decade. Obviously, it's a big part of growth and reaching our potential. Maybe if you speak a little bit about how important it is for Canadian businesses to look beyond the borders, and maybe how they should start doing so. I mean, at the end there, you were talking a little bit about evaluating certain markets and what could work for your business depending on what you make and what the competitive market in each of these countries is. But a few of the points of why it's so important that from small to medium to large Canadian businesses do actively look around the world for opportunities.
Well, I think, first of all, we have a very unique opportunity right now, a window of opportunity to take advantages of what we can call the Canadian brand. You know, our strong economy, fiscal and monetary, our strong financial system, our resources, all those things that are good and are well respected now because, again, many of the American, the European economies are just the other way. And that's the other big thing, is it's now a fact. And for the next several years, the economies, let's just say broadly, of the G7 are going to be underperforming. And so for all of us, small, medium, and large, it is all about growth. Finding markets to grow, to create jobs and returns for your investors. And so the traditional markets are slow growth. They got fiscal problems, fiscal issues. They have currencies. And in Canada, you know, we're no longer at 60 cents to the US dollar. We're at par and there. That creates opportunities in some respects and a lot of challenges because you can't rely on protection of the weak Canadian dollar, nor protection on tariffs because free trade and free trade agreements. So the realistic assessment that it's going to be very hard to earn out a good, sustainable, growing living in Canada, not impossible, but a lot tougher. And then you look at the opportunities that exist in the emerging markets, the G100. And that's a huge market with all the things going forward about growth, 6%, 10% growing economies. Young people are going to consume a lot of goods and services. Countries that are looking for expertise in the many things that the Canadians have. I always talk about one thing, you know, we're quite a large bank in Mexico, and when I go to all our builders here in Canada and whatever, and we're all struggling even though we've had a good growth rate, they got to do 700,000 homes a year in Mexico. And that's only 3 or 4 hours away. So, and they certainly can use some of the practices that we've learned on how to build good homes or good buildings or good shopping malls, and they're open for it.
What's the role of government in encouraging and helping Canadian companies expand and achieve some of these goals and look out to try to get out of Canada and get some exposure to some of these emerging markets?
Well, government to government is important because that's how you get free trade agreements. That's how you can deal with protectionism on tariffs and what have you. And so that's important in the first degree. And it's because we are dealing with a lot of countries that you have to make sure that your access is open and free. And that's where governments play a very crucial role. Second role is they can create an environment. They can create an environment that this is good for jobs and growth in Canada and create that environment, and then through the development EDC and things like that, put some programs in, and then make the trade offices and the trade commissions available, especially for small business. I think for the last factor, that's where small business really can use the government. For us that are large, we have the resources and whatever, we can really do most of that on our own. But some of these trade offices and trade missions for the smaller businesses and that is beneficial, and I think governments have traditionally used that. They got to continue to use that more and support it. So, but we have to do it in the private sector. So they can create the eco culture or whatever they can that to make it happen, and also there's free trade agreements, which is a little bit more involved in that. But then it's up to us to seize the opportunity, because governments are not great at developing markets or commercializing or whatever. We got to take it from there.
Just a quick last one. You mentioned seizing the opportunity, and earlier in your earlier answer about how we have a window of opportunity, and that sort of intrigued me. You also mentioned in your talk like how strong the Canadian brand is right now. Is there a sense of urgency that Canadian companies need to take advantage of this right now, and what is that window? How do you see it in terms of time? Is it a decade? Is it 5 years? Is it
Well, I do use the word window for a reason, because windows do close. Okay, and you know, we do know, because the economic growth, the forecasts that we're all seeing, you know, on a global basis, especially for the G7, the Euro market in the U.S. and Japan, that this growth is going to be subnormal for several years to come. So that is going to happen, and it'll take some time before the Europeans and the Americans and that to bounce back. We're starting to see some early signs of it in the United States, but it's still early days. But there's no doubt that great American companies, small, medium, and large, and European countries will rebound, because they're going to want to look for markets. They're going to want to look for careers and jobs and make returns for investors. So it's not indefinite. Definitely in the next 5 years is probably going to be as good as it gets. Hopefully it'll be a little longer than that. But if we don't seize it, say, for the next 5 to 10 years, we have lost an opportunity that a lot of people will regret they never taken.